is CTV News.
Good evening, I'm Sanjay. Maru, thanks for joining us. We begin tonight in Windsor's Remington Park neighborhood, where Windsor police say at least one of its officers opened fire at a suspect this afternoon. It happened around 3 o'clock on Alexandrine Street near Howard and Eugenie following reports of a person with a weapon. Police say a suspect was hit, but are not saying how many rounds were fired or what led up to the shooting. They add there is no threat to public safety. The Special Investigations Unit is now in charge of the investigation, as it is anytime police action results in serious injury or a firearm is discharged. Here's one neighbor describing what he heard from his home nearby.
By the time I got out of my vehicle, which is only 2 blocks away from the intersection, the cops were telling me to get in my house and go in the basement, and that's when I heard 4 to 6 shots continuously. Then about 4 minutes after the initial shots, we heard a single shot.
Meanwhile, Windsor police are searching for a suspect in a knife-point robbery. He's described as a Middle Eastern man, early 20s, slim build, dark hair, wearing an Adidas jersey, black pants and glasses. Police say he walked into a convenience store on Wyandotte Street East Saturday night, demanded money and pulled out a knife. When the clerk refused, the man fled empty-handed. No one was hurt. Anyone with information is requested to call Windsor Police or Crime Stoppers. To the courts now, and a warning. The content of the next 2 stories may be upsetting, both dealing with allegations of intimate partner violence. In one Superior Courtroom today, a Rwandan refugee was sentenced to life in prison with no chance of parole for 14 years. 33-year-old Ramadan Nizigiyimana pleaded guilty to second-degree murder in April. He admitted to stabbing his wife with a 10-inch knife during a family party in October 2021. Windsor police arrested him minutes after the attack. The judge today said his actions showed planning. He biked to the gathering armed with a knife and attacked his estranged wife in front of friends and family. And at the time, he was under a court order to stay away from her. Nizigiyimana will likely be deported after serving his sentence. Meantime, in a courtroom across the hall, the murder trial of a Michigan man accused of killing his wife continues. 36-year-old Sahara Boulay was killed in May of 2023. Her body found days later in a field behind a Huron Church Road hotel. Today, the jury saw medical records showing she suffered cracked ribs in 2022, injuries she claimed were from a fall, but her mother believed were from abuse. Jurors also learned Boulay once faced an assault charge in 2020, laid after a complaint from Brian Marbury, but later withdrawn after she completed court-ordered programming. The trial continues tomorrow. And at the ongoing inquest into the overdose death of 21-year-old Nathaniel Krug at Windsor's Southwest Detention Center, we heard today about new body scanning tools now in use behind bars. Krug died after consuming a lethal dose of fentanyl and a sleeping medication in his cell. An official with the Solicitor General's ministry told jurors the jail received a software upgrade just last week, providing clearer images to help officers spot contraband. After a pilot project at 4 facilities, the technology is now being rolled out across Ontario. The inquest resumes Friday. And the search continues for a missing Windsor man who has not been seen in more than a month. Windsor police spent much of today searching around 675 Tecumseh Road West, as well as the area of Grand Maris Road West and Huron Church Road. They would not say what led them to those spots, but confirmed there is no threat to public safety. Earlier this month, officers searched ditches along Road 11 and Albuna Town Line. 37-year-old David Pavawa was last seen August 14th in the 1000 block of Brock Street in Windsor's West End. Police say it's unusual for him to go this long without contacting his family. A cyclist has died after a late-night collision in Kingsville. Just after 11 o'clock Wednesday night, emergency crews rushed to County Road 20 west of McCain-Side Road. Police say a 43-year-old cyclist was struck by a passenger vehicle and pronounced dead at the scene. The driver was not hurt. The road has since reopened, but Thursday morning, a stretch of the 2-lane road remained closed, with cruisers, debris, and a crumpled bicycle marking the scene. Anyone with information is requested to call OPP or Crime Stoppers. Well, a 100-year-old veteran is stranded far from home, and his family in Windsor says they are desperate for help. A local woman says her father got sick while traveling, and now she's struggling to bring him back to Windsor, Essex. But as CTV's Stephanie Mazzotti reports, she's refusing to take no for an answer.
That is totally unacceptable.
Maureen Rudovich's 100-year-old father, William Shea, a World War II veteran from Harrow, lay thousands of miles from home in a Chilliwack, BC hospital bed. She says after a few days of returning from an Alaskan cruise, he became ill and was rushed by ambulance to the emergency room, where he was diagnosed by doctors with a bladder infection, pneumonia in one lung, and problems with his kidneys.
Oh, it's frustrating. It's terrible.
Hospital officials told Rudowich Shea's health had improved, but he could not take a commercial flight because of immobility and that an air ambulance was the only option. Hospital officials received quotes ranging from around $60,000 to $72,000. She submitted a claim to Veterans Affairs Canada seeking coverage for an air ambulance, but was denied.
I kept hearing no, 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 but I kept calling. And then finally, last Wednesday, I was told, yes, he is covered with this POC2 coverage. Submit the quote, which we did, and we found out 2 days ago it was denied. He's 100 years old, a World War II veteran.
Rudowich was told the denial letter was sent to Shea's home address in Harrow and that he had 60 days to appeal it. She says it's impossible for him to appeal as he is in a hospital in a different province. In a statement sent to AM 800, officials say Veterans Affairs Canada is always concerned to learn about the health and well-being of a Second World War veteran. However, we cannot comment on individuals due to the Privacy Act.
I did ask the question, what if I flew out there, put him in a wheelchair, and bring him home? They said he wouldn't be able to sit up that long, and we'd have to transfer in Pearson. There's no one-way flight to Windsor.
But doctors told her that would not be possible due to his mobility issues. An official with MPP Chris Lewis's office tells AM 800 they are working to see what can be done to assist Shea. Stephanie Mazzotti, CTV News.
A new report says a Windsor railway worker was seriously injured earlier this year after being struck by a rail car. According to the Transportation Safety Board, the incident happened February 16th at Ojibwe Yard. A worker clearing snow from a switch was hit by two tank cars which had been kicked down the track, a common practice where cars are pushed and then released to roll on their own. The cars were moving about 5 kilometers an hour. The worker had a gas-powered leaf blower on his back and, without a radio, could not hear the conductor's warning. The collision left him seriously hurt. The Safety Board says Essex Terminal Railway has since issued radios, requires tracks to be locked and flagged before snow clearing, and halts train movements until that work is done. Crews and maintenance staff are also no longer allowed to work in the yard at the same time. Turning now to a community meeting held on the matter of Peche Island this week, with residents fighting to preserve the park. But as CTV's Bob Belichico shows us, that effort could cost hundreds of thousands of dollars.
It's just a matter of getting it cleared.
Back in July, CTV News showed you the blocked-off water flow beneath the Legacy Bridge on Peche Island. Howard Weeks, a leading advocate for the island, feels Peche is being choked and wants the canal cleared. He organized a meeting earlier this week with major stakeholders like the city and IRCA.
I wanted them basically to understand, and I think they do, that the island needs to be replenished.
The island is designated as a park, but many, like Weeks, are concerned about the natural side.
If we were to fully naturalize the park, that would limit the amount of people that could go into the park and have activities on the park, which I think might be an error in this case. What we need to do is have people appreciate the park.
In order to do that, Weeks feels that the wildlife and vegetation on the island needs to be addressed.
There was a suggestion from a couple of the experts that we could do something very, very simple.
A cost of $150,000 was thrown out as a solution to clear out the canal. Now, to fully avoid the canal from blocking again, which it has done throughout the years according to IRCA, a rock wall would need to be created to divert the flow of material. So the cost of this diversion rock wall is $250,000. Add to that $150,000 to open up the canal, and that's a total of $400,000 to fix the island, if that's the will of the city and the people.
The city can, through IRCA, apply for grants from the provincial and federal level, and that's one way of obtaining the money.
IRCA CEO Tim Burney says what's happening on the island is part of a correction to the natural system of the island that was disrupted over 100 years ago. Remediation would have to account for endangered species, marine environment, and more.
Credit goes to those, the general public raising the alert and raising their concern. And, we all collectively need to react to that and respond accordingly.
Weeks is hoping to bring the issue to council in the near future. Bob Belichico, CTV News.
A new report shows nearly 300,000 Ontarians left an emergency room without getting treatment over the last year. According to data compiled by think tank MEI, out of almost 6 million emergency room visits across Ontario in 2024, about 4.9% of patients left before they were treated. That's more than 292,000. As big as that number may sound, it was the lowest proportion among all the provinces, excluding Saskatchewan, which did not provide data. PEI saw more than 14% of emergency room visitors leave untreated, followed by Manitoba and New Brunswick at around 13%. MEI's report warns that patients who face delays in treatment or avoid it often end up suffering from worsening conditions, leading to more complex consequences. Well, there is outrage over what's being called an assault on free speech after late-night talk show host Jimmy Kimmel was pulled off the air indefinitely. ABC affiliates are being accused of caving into pressure, with the U.S. president now calling for other faces of late night to be removed. Here's CTV's Heather Wright.
The controversy all stems from comments late-night host Jimmy Kimmel made on his show on Monday.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it.
Kimmel went on to criticize Donald Trump's mourning of Kirk, pointing to the president's answer when asked how he was holding up.
I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks? They've just started construction of the new ballroom for the White House.
Kimmel's comments were slammed by many on the right, including the chair of the Federal Communications Commission, who issued an unsubtle threat to ABC and its affiliates, implying broadcast licenses could be at risk if they did not take action against Kimmel. Nexstar, an ABC affiliate that is trying to merge with another group and will need FCC approval, was the first to yank Kimmel. ABC followed suit shortly after.
Trump and his allies seem to want to shut down speech that they don't like to hear.
ABC is not the first to acquiesce to pressure from the White House. CBS settled a lawsuit over a 60 Minutes interview that coincided with a merger between its parent company Paramount and Skydance. CBS has also announced plans to cancel The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, a move the network says was due to costs. Today, Trump downplayed freedom of speech concerns, calling Kimmel's ouster a business decision.
You can call that free speech or not. He was fired for lack of talent.
But on social media, Trump suggested other late-night hosts should be next. That leaves Jimmy and Seth two total losers, referring to The Tonight Show's Jimmy Fallon and late-night host Seth Meyers. Do it, NBC. In Ottawa, the Bloc Québécois leader declined to directly weigh in on the controversy, but paraphrased the philosopher Voltaire.
I profoundly disagree with what you say, but I will fight to the end for you to have the right to say it.
And while Jimmy Kimmel has not been officially fired, it's not clear when or if he will return to his show. Heather Wright, CTV News, Toronto.
Later in the show, 14 residents of a tiny fishing village are now multi-millionaires after sharing a $50 million Lotto Max jackpot.
5K a day is back on 93.9
Virgin Radio.
Listen to Hannah and Johnny in the morning for your chance to win $5,000
every weekday.
5K a day.
Virgin Radio.
Let's check in with CTV meteorologist Gary Archibald now for a look at the forecast. Gary.
Sanjay, I think we are in for at least another couple of days, 2 days, Friday, Saturday, where the weather will be fair and quite agreeable, I think, for most. Today was a very warm day. The stats, well, tell part of the story. Well above seasonal. 31, our average is 22. Wow, that's warm. Not a record, by the way. Record dates back to 1955, 32.8. Ridge of high pressure still the story. Much of the eastern half of the USA and Canada has been seeing fair weather and warm temperatures. We're warmer, generally speaking, than the western tier of the continent. We have been in the vicinity of showers in eastern Michigan. The worst case scenario is a few scattered showers this evening, but I'm thinking it will be light if you see it at all. For the most part, we will see partly cloudy conditions for the next 24 hours and still looking at temperatures slightly above seasonal. Here's the rainfall projection. Most of it in eastern Michigan, as stated, maybe in and around Lake St. Clair. That means the city of Windsor, Essex, perhaps Tecumseh, leaning a little bit further south towards Kingsville, Leamington, and Peche Island. Less than 5 millimeters anticipated, so not a huge rain event. We need that rain. More on that in just a moment. Cloudy with a light breeze for the most part across the region. A balmy 17 degrees Celsius is anticipated. The average low is 13. Actually, closer to 12 now. 17 is the story temperature-wise at 8 a.m. Mixture of sun and cloud and northeasterly breeze. That will be the dominant pattern for the day. 21 through noon feels like 26, and 24, still a couple of degrees above the average, will feel like 29 at peak. We'll get to 24, feeling like 29 at around 4 o'clock in the afternoon Friday. Saturday, a mixture of sun and cloud, 25 degrees, and then we're seeing the breakdown of this ridge of high pressure that has been the dominant atmospheric system comes Sunday. Increase in cloudiness, and then we'll get into potentially some rain. And some of these showers, definitely what we need as we look ahead to Monday, Tuesday, and perhaps Wednesday, Thursday of next week. By the way, note the temperatures, mid-20s. Averages will be getting down closer to 21 by Thursday. We are still above seasonal in terms of the daily maximums and minimums for at least the next 7 days straight. Let's look at your weather.
Thank you, Gary. Erie Shores Healthcare is expanding addiction and mental health support in Leamington. Until now, an addictions worker was only available at the hospital once a week, but starting this month, help will be offered 5 days a week, including assessments, counseling, harm reduction, and referrals to community programs. Hospital officials say the change comes in response to rising substance-related harms across the region. The services will be available to patients in the emergency department and those admitted to hospital through a partnership with Hotel Dieu Grace Healthcare, the CMHA, and the Community Health Center. Well, a tentative deal has been reached for special constables at the University of Windsor. Unifort Local 444 announcing this afternoon that it's reached a tentative agreement with the university. The deal covers 26 special constables working on campus. Ratification meeting details are still being worked out, but the union says wages and contract language have been the main sticking points during negotiations. Well, a special 55-year reunion has been set for Saturday in LaSalle with some serious 70s vibes.
We went all the way to the Supreme Court, and after a long, hard fight, we ended up getting a site, and the school ground was broke in 1973.
The story there of Sandwich Secondary School officially opening up on Malden Road in 1975. And this weekend, an alumni reunion is being held for those who attended in that decade. On Saturday between 1 and 4 p.m., there will be an open house at Sandwich, followed by a celebration at the Fort Fun Center at 6. Proceeds from the events will be donated to the LaSalle Community Fund.
We want to partner with them to establish a scholarship or more with Sandwich Secondary, which is one of their existing goals. We want to leave a legacy. We just don't want to have a reunion and then not sustain it over time.
Should be a great event there at my former high school, Sandwich Secondary School. Nonetheless, Canada's main stock index up on strength in the technology sector. In Toronto, the TSX gains 132 points. In New York, the Dow adds 124. The Nasdaq up 209. The Canadian dollar is down 1/5 of a cent. Gold losing almost $40 an ounce, while oil drops 44 cents a barrel.
Would you text your ex for $10,000? 89X is back. Listen for the keywords and text your ex. It's never been more rewarding to get back with your ex. Only on Windsor's Alternative, 89X.
Florida authorities say a man at the Epic Universe amusement park died today after riding a roller coaster. Park officials said the man rode Stardust Racers, described on the park's website as a roller coaster which can reach up to 100 kilometers per hour. Universal opened the theme park in May with 5 themed sections and a hotel with 500 rooms. In the second quarter of this year, there were a dozen reports of injuries from SeaWorld Orlando, Universal, and Disney. Residents in Vaughan are voicing concern over coyotes in the city, saying the situation is out of control. Take a look. Video from a driveway surveillance camera shows a pack of coyotes seeming to fight over something on the ground. At first, there are 3, but at least 5 more join in. The problem seems to be most concentrated in the Thornhill area of Vaughan. Of the nearly 400 coyote sightings in the city so far this year, 240 have been in the ward that includes part of Thornhill. Well, 14 people who hit the jackpot, a whopping $50 million playing the province's Lotto Max, got their check today. The group lives in a remote northern community near the border with Labrador, and the ticket was purchased in the aptly named town of Bonne Espérance, or Good Hope. CTV's Jean-Viève Beauchemin traveled there to meet the winners.
Bonne Espérance is a postcard pretty small fishing village that hit the jackpot. And marking a first in its history, Lotto Quebec chartered a small plane and invited journalists, big checks in hand. Just about all of the village's 500 souls gathered to celebrate the $50 million win.
Congratulations! Au nom de Lotto Québec, il me fait vraiment plaisir de vous remettre ce chèque de 50 millions de dollars. Félicitations!
A moment, as the mayor said, that will mark the history of Bonne Espérance.
In a million years did I ever even dream of coming here and doing this. This is fantastic.
It's at St. Paul's General Store, a few kilometers away, that the ticket to the Good Life, well, to 14 good lives, was sold. The retailer gets a commission. That's this check. And Della Spingle, who owns the store with her husband, is also among winners.
Oh, there was lots of screaming and yelling and yahoo.
The group organized by the General Store has been together for nearly 20 years, winning very little over the years. And so there was a lot of disbelief when a chain of calls started to reach the winners. And as one might expect, news spread fast.
I was just completely frozen. I was shaking. I said, this can't be real. This is not real. You know, like, I can't believe this is happening. It was so weird.
The winners began to gather at the General Store.
Between 14 of you, you won $50 million.
Oh my God!
3.5 million each.
That's Carolyn Sims with 11 children to spoil, who still can't believe there's a check to her name that size.
I couldn't believe it, and I still can't. It's hard to imagine. It's emotional.
Yeah. It changes your life. Oh.
Then there's Loretta Cabot-Griffin.
They retired from the fish plant.
She's a 72-year-old fish plant worker, and she hung up, or well, threw out her hairnet. And now retiring. 4 winners live on the same street. They've now dubbed it Millionaires Row, a massive transformation in a town where the main industry is fishing, and that has, over the years, struggled through some hard times. And so, as they say, winning the lottery won't change the world, but it is certainly transforming Bonne Espérance. Geneviève Beauchemin, CTV News, Bonne Espérance, Quebec.
The Do Good Divas were out this afternoon lending a hand to Habitat for Humanity Windsor Essex and bringing a future home one step closer to completion.
Having that roof over your head is so important to a person's overall well-being that it hits all the markers.
At a Bruce Street house first built in 2005 through the Jimmy Carter Work Project, volunteers added a special welcome, planting flowers for single mom Lisa and her daughter Zoe, who will soon move in. A plaque honoring 2024 sponsors also unveiled at the Habitat Restore. And with next year's fundraiser approaching, supporters are encouraged to donate handbags to help build more affordable homes in Windsor, Essex.
We're changing lives. They're changing lives. These houses don't exist without people that are rallying together to do something good in the community. These ladies have been working on community support for 18 years. I think that's incredible.
Gary is back with a final look at weather. Gary.
Sanjay, I'm anticipating fair weather for Friday. Saturday, the weekend starts off lovely, in fact. Comfortable conditions in most of the region. Southern Ontario proper is still looking at temperatures about 3 to 4 degrees above seasonal both Friday, Saturday. Then the clouds move in for Sunday. Showers, which we do need. Monday and Tuesday, we're still technically in a drought situation. Look around your gardens, your lawns, brown and stressed, no doubt. Temperatures will still be in the mid-20s Monday through Tuesday. Keep the umbrella nearby. Scattered showers Wednesday, a cooler 23, but seasonal on Thursday, a week from now. About a 60% chance of much needed rain. The pattern will change significantly, but we've been spoiled of late, if you like it warm and very summer-like.
And Gary, speaking of keeping your umbrella nearby, we leave you tonight with a sea of color taking over downtown streets in Kitchener-Waterloo as thousands join the United Way's annual March of 1,000 Umbrellas. The parade is designed to show connection and commitment and to raise awareness for those relying on United Way programs. The organization supports people facing housing and food insecurity along with mental health challenges. That is your news for tonight. Thank you so much for watching this edition of Windsor's News Leader. We will see you right back here tomorrow at 6.